Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen we're making a delicious, light and airy ciabatta. So let's get started. Into a medium bowl, I'm whisking 1 cup of bread flour, that's 120 grams. And just so you know, I scooped out 1 cup of bread flour from a bag, and then I have a scale out to measure it. This is 120 grams. This is what's left over in my measuring cup. Quite a bit of flour, so please don't scoop your flour. Use a scale, and if you don't have one, fluff the flour up and sprinkle it into your measuring cup. It makes a huge difference. I also want to grab half a teaspoon of instant yeast. These packages are more than half a teaspoon, so just measure it out. Sprinkle that in. I also want half a cup of warm water between 85 and 90 degrees or so. Our scale's done. We can add our water in and just whisk it together. This is gonna create a slurry and it'll become quite bubbly, but it needs some time. Give it a whisk and then scrape it together in the bowl. Right now we're making the sponge or the pre-ferment for our ciabatta, and it's gonna give us more flavor and help with that lovely texture. I'll tell you more about that later, but for now, we're gonna cover this up and let it rest for 3 to 3.5 hours or until it's very bubbly. This is what it looks like now. When we come back, it'll be totally different. And we're gonna let it hang out in a nice cozy place. Be right back. After about 3.5 hours, I have a lovely, very bubbly sponge. This is the base for our ciabatta, and we're gonna add a lot more things in here. So I'm bringing my scale back, zeroing it out. So now I want 2 2/3 cups of bread flour. That is 320 grams. And by the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's tuna recipes every week. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. 2 teaspoons of salt for some flavor. We want more instant yeast now, specifically half a teaspoon. And 1 cup of warm water, 85 to 90 or so degrees. Scale is done. We're gonna work this mixture together with a spatula until it's a nice shaggy dough. So you're gonna wanna bring this together a bit first, and then you'll mix a bit more vigorously. If you mix vigorously at the beginning, it would just be flour everywhere. Nobody wants that. Your goal here is for all the flour to be absorbed, but it's not gonna be a perfect, beautiful dough. It'll be shaggy, meaning it has all these nooks and crannies hanging around. I always think of ciabatta as a traditional Italian bread. It's not. It's an illusion like tiramisu. These are not old recipes. This is from 1982. So this is the Italian version of a French baguette. French baguettes got really popular, and a baker named Arnaldo Cavallari came up with a ciabatta, which is Italian for slipper, and it's a really delicious sandwich bread. Nice and airy, crisp on the outside, and it's perfect for filling. Once you have your nice shaggy mixture, cover the dough up and let it rest for 30 minutes. We'll be right back. After about 30 minutes of rest time, we're ready to do some stretching and folding. So grab one end with wet hands. Ooh, it feels so spongy. We're gonna stretch it out and fold it over. Rotate 90 degrees and repeat. Stretch it out and fold it over. 90 degrees, stretch it out and fold it over. One more time. And now you're gonna notice the dough is feeling tenser and tenser because it's being stretched. So it needs to relax after this. We're halfway through. We're gonna do 4 more stretch and folds. So I can wet my hands again if needed. 1, 2, 3. And I'm pressing down to stretch because the dough is much more willful at this point. And my last one. So stretch and fold. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and pop your cover back on, back into a warm, cozy place for another 30 minutes, and we're gonna repeat that same process. After another 30 minutes, you'll repeat the 8 stretches with your wet hands, and then we will have 1 more 30-minute rest and 1 more set of 8 stretches. All you're doing here is building the structure of your ciabatta so it has that lovely texture, and you know, it's bread. It has to be kneaded. This is essentially a knead. It's just very structured. Eight stretches done, cover it up, let it rest, and we're gonna repeat one more time. Time for your last stretch and fold. So with nice, clean, wet hands, ooh, it rose up. We're going to stretch and fold 8 more times. Give it a stretch and fold. And when this dough started, it was pretty rough looking. Like it was shaggy. There were weird little bits hanging out here and there. And now it looks like pretty quality, good stuff there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're gonna transfer this to a clean, lightly oiled bowl. Work the oil up the side and plop your beautiful dough in. I'd give it a turn just so it's oiled on top as well. Now it's time to cover our dough up, and it's gonna go into the fridge for 8 to 24 hours. It's gonna develop flavor, texture. When it comes out, you'll see how bubbly it is because it's going through a nice, slow, cold fermentation. In you go. My ciabatta rested in the fridge overnight, and it hung out on the countertop for an hour just to warm up a bit. I'm gonna liberally sprinkle my work surface with flour. Look at that. Look at that jiggle. Dump your dough onto the counter. I'm gonna pat and stretch my dough into a 6 by 12 inch rectangle. Oh, it feels so spongy. It's very, very pleasant. Just give it a good stretch. Now grab one of the short ends and fold it over just like a book. And we're gonna pat and stretch this into a 6 by 10 inch rectangle. Pinch the seams. 10 by 6, it's perfect. I'm gonna cut this lengthwise so we have 2 kind of ciabatta baguettes. Oh, I'm supposed to flour it. It's fine. All right, so separate those out. And basically you could have a beautiful like baguette shaped loaf of bread, which you can cut accordingly, or you could also cut this into smaller pieces, which would make kind of like nice sandwiches. So I'll do one of each. Flour the tops. And I'm transferring this to a flat, not rimmed baking sheet that has 2 pieces of parchment paper on there. So 1 and 2. Now my ciabatta can hang out on the countertop for 2 to 2.5 hours or until they're noticeably puffed and bubbly all over. After an hour 30 of rise time, you have some work in the oven to do. Place 1 rack in the center and 1 rack at the lowest setting. The lowest setting one should get a heat-proof or like bakeable skillet that's about 10 inches. The top one should get either a pizza stone or a pizza steel or a baking sheet that's flipped upside down. Both of those will hang out in the oven while you preheat it to 475 Fahrenheit. It needs to be screaming hot when you slide the dough in. So have that all set up and ready to go. And finally, just cover these up so they don't dry. My ciabatta's risen for about 2 hours. It's puffy and bubbly and ready to go into the oven. The ciabatta will bake with the parchment paper on your pizza stone or your upside down baking sheet. And after that's in there, we're gonna add a cup of ice into our pan and close the oven up really quickly so we get some nice steaminess. We're gonna bake our ciabatta for 13 to 15 minutes at 475 or until it's a deep golden color and the internal temp is 200. You can use the thermometer if you wanna be extra sure. Once it's out of the oven, we're gonna transfer it to a cooling rack so it stays nice and crisp until it's warm, and then it's ready to slice. Give it a slice and it is the perfect sandwich bread, in my humble opinion. Also delicious plain, so soft and hydrated on the inside with a lovely, crisp, crunchy shell. Perfect for sandwiches, and the flavor is actually delicious just from the bread itself. I hope you get a chance to make this delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my bread playlist.